Happy Saturday, Atlanta. Today on Play to Win, who is to blame for this shaky start at UGA? And also, who are the Falcons? We're going to break all that down and more coming up next on the fastest 30 minutes in television, football's Play to Win.
Today's show is being brought to you by Montlick Injury Attorneys. Our attorneys know what it takes to win. McDonald's and Beaver Toyota. Welcome to Football's Play to Win with Falcons All-Pro defensive end Chuck Smith, Falcons All-Pro offensive tackle Bob Whitfield, Play to Win expert Jeffrey the Edge Schechter, college and SEC football expert Chris Marler, 680 The Fan morning drive host Brandon Leak, Falcons All-Pro wide receiver Terrence Mathis, and your host Nikki Williams. Today's hometown team report is being brought to you by Montlick Injury Attorneys. Our attorneys know what it takes to win.
It's game day, Atlanta. Thank you for joining us for another week of football's Play to Win. Today's hometown team report is brought to you by Montlick Injury Attorneys. Everybody back in the house. We've got a few more joining us here in just a few. Bob Whitfield, Terrence Mathis, home team Brandon Leak, all here to break down all things NFL and college. I am still reeling from that Georgia almost loss last week. The Dogs are looking a little bit shaky. Who do we say is to blame for that, Bob?
I'm going to tell you like this, Nikki. I am to blame because I am just like any other Georgia fan that thinks that just because the team is great, that they just going to blow everybody out and destroy the masses out there. Them kids got scholarships too. And if they're trying to prove their worth at their university, when they see Georgia line up on the schedule, they should play their best game. They should play stupendous. And Georgia should have a resiliency to combat that. So I'm to blame because I must have thought they was just like the best thing since sliced bread. But they got to earn those wins. And Stetson Bennett did earn that win.
I'm going to let you off the hook, Bob. I'm going to blame Todd Monken. Obviously, they were missing some pieces. A.D. Mitchell didn't play. Arian Smith didn't play. And I think it caught up with them being inefficient in the red zone and trying to score some points early. Also, the offensive line was beaten up. So Stetson Bennett did not have any time to throw. But no matter who is out there, if they have a G on a helmet, they are good enough to step up and replace somebody who isn't there. So even though they didn't have their best wide receiving core out there, they tried to work the game with the tight ends. It didn't work. And Missouri came to play, hung around to the fourth quarter, and that's not what they need to see. They need to score some points no matter who's out on the field and who gets a chance to get out there to win the game today.
Terrence, help us out with the other hometown team in the mix, Georgia Tech. Brent Key 1-0 at Georgia Tech with a win over a ranked opponent on the road. I mean, should they be a serious contender, or am I jumping in too soon on this?
Slow your roll. They didn't beat Clemson. They didn't beat Wake Forest. They didn't beat NC State. They didn't beat Miami. They beat Pittsburgh. Why everybody think Pittsburgh's so good? It ain't like they been in the college playoff. It ain't like that. But here it is. He should get consideration. He's a former player there. He's coached there before. He's the interim. That's what you're supposed to do for courtesy to give him that. But let me give you some other names. Charlie Huff at Marshall. He deserves a chance. The X Factor, Deion Sanders deserves a chance. You got Gaddis, who's the offensive coordinator at Miami that used to be at Michigan, has a chance. And then you give Holman Wiggins, who's the assistant head coach at the University of Alabama, wide receiver coach. Yeah, all these four should be in consideration. I think that I don't want to see no more retreads. I don't want to hear no names that is comfortable. I want to hear something that's uncomfortable to make it comfortable.
He's got a chance. Back in 1994, George O'Leary was the interim head coach. They go 1-10. He gets the job. He ends up being a coach for 6 years, and then he gets this chance to win a couple of bowl games. So it's an opportunity, but I agree with Terrence. They should be looking at everybody across the nation to get Georgia Tech back to prominence.
It's going to be fun to watch. We know that, guys. When we come back, we're going to talk about Bryce Young and his health and how that affects the SEC. You don't want to miss it. It's coming up next on Football's Play to Win.
After an accident, how well you recover financially affects much more than you realize. It's more than just paying your medical bills and fixing your car. It's about what's been taken away from you and the impact it will have on you and your family for the rest of your life. That's why at Montlick & Associates, we fight so hard, holding the insurance companies accountable and taking it to trial if needed. If you've been seriously hurt, protect your future. Speak to a Montlick injury attorney today.
Back again, huh? You must love losing.
You're buying the next one.
You gotta win one first.
Okay.
Mix and match your two favorites for $3.29 at any size soft drink for $1. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
You just bought a new house. Now you've got to move. Nobody likes to move. That's why you call Atlanta Peach Movers. Your choice for the best move. No job is too big or too small, and you can be assured your belongings will get where they need to be on time and in one piece. Our in-house training facility ensures our team is ready to offer you unmatched service and a no-hassle moving experience. For the best value in the business, call Atlanta Peach Movers for a free quote today.
Chevy Silverado. It's got the power you want and the capability you need to do the job, so you can get to the important work. Find new moments, find new roads. Get $1,500 total cash allowance on all 2022 Silverado pickups with a 2.7-liter turbo engine. Plus, now during truck season, get $1,000 accessory allowance toward a new Chevy truck with accessories. Georgia drives Chevy. Find new roads.
Today's SEC and ACC report is being brought to you by your Southeastern Nissan dealer.
And we are back. It's time for our SEC ACC report brought to you by Greater Atlanta Nissan. Chris Marler in the house to break down all things college football for us. Chris, with questions around Bryce Young's health, how much do you think this actually changes the SEC?
All right, first off, thank you for joining me on Casual Saturday, and you guys look so great. But no, I will say, so it changes the SEC in a lot of ways, because if you look at the way this Alabama team has been playing, they've been playing really well going on the road. Now, listen, I know Arkansas being ranked is no Mizzou, but going on the road and getting a big win like that is tough to do. So I think if he's out for the rest of the year, and here's a point that Greg McElroy made this morning that should be worrisome for Bama fans. That right shoulder of Bryce Young's is possibly a 9-figure right shoulder. That is, I mean, we're talking about in the tens of millions of dollars that thing could be worth. And the other room for concern, Jalen Milroe was 1 of 4 for 3 yards passing the football in the second half. So it could change the SEC in a lot of ways.
It absolutely changes the SEC. It takes a Heisman Trophy winner off the field and somewhat gives defensive coordinators the premonition that they could be mere mortals that they're playing. Obviously, Nick Saban is going to have a well-coached and well-prepared backup now that it doesn't happen in the middle of a game. But the bottom line is he's already saved them from one defeat against Texas. You don't know what's awaiting down the line. And if he doesn't get that shoulder healthy, that could potentially change everything in the SEC moving forward this year.
Dollar bills change everything, guys. Let's move it over now to our college football showdown.
Today's Showdown of the Week is being brought to you by This Is It Southern Kitchen and Barbecue. Real food for real people.
Number 8, Tennessee at number 25, LSU. Chris, who's the real challenger here?
I mean, it's Tennessee, and it's Tennessee until you continue to show you can win consistently. Now, I think Tennessee's going to win this football game. And if you look at this just from like taking a step back, we've been there for 15 years where it seems like they've got the short end of the stick. They keep running into all these terrible, terrible issues and problems, and just very unlucky as a program. But you get back-to-back weeks of facing LSU and Bama, right? You're like two really big SEC games. And you might have both their starting quarterbacks out, and you also get Death Valley at 11 a.m. instead of at night. I think it's ripe for a Tennessee win here. We'll see what happens, though.
When you got a starting quarterback in Jaden Daniels at LSU, if he plays, who doesn't complete passes, he's just like the Alabama backup that's only good for running the ball. So I definitely agree with you with Tennessee winning this game.
You send a hooker to Baton Rouge, you never know what can happen. You got to say it.
I knew you were going to have a comment to that, Chris. Number 1, Alabama welcomes in Texas A&M. Do we think that bad blood from the offseason is dried up now that the Aggies have had a little bit of a slow start?
I just miss the days where coaches didn't call press conferences to call other coaches narcissists. That's a level of irony that I don't even know I'm prepared for. But yeah, I think it's probably dried up a little bit. I think Saban and Jimbo are probably friends again, but they won't be Saturday night, especially around 11:30.
Jimbo Fisher wrote a check for a whooping, and I think Nick Saban's going to cash it.
All right, guys, when we come back, we're going to talk some dog football. And will it be the last day we see Auburn's head coach? It's all coming up next on Football's Play to Win.
You know, the weird thing about COVID is it affects everyone differently. I was in need of a double lung transplant, or I was just going to be made comfortable enough to pass.
We're so grateful of the outcome. It's a miracle.
I feel like if I had had the shot before I had gotten sick, I wouldn't be in this situation. If there's something out there to help prevent that, then why wouldn't you be willing to give it a chance?
Life is reliably unreliable, and your home is no exception. Whether it's got the chills, or a temp, the drips, or the zaps. Whatever the ailment, you need a reliable solution fast. That's where Reliable Heating and Air comes in. We're talking same-day service, all backed by the 100% satisfaction reliable guarantee. Go to reliableair.com today to schedule your same-day service.
I'm Bob Whitfield, Atlanta Falcon legend, and I'm your Wayfield Foods Master Chef. When I'm down at the game, watching our Dirty Birds get ready for that competition, I like to see that tailgate firing up that grill. No matter if it's hamburgers, hot dogs, ribs, chicken, and fish, come to Wayfield, shop and compare. Experience the Wayfield difference. Celebrating 40 years in Metro Atlanta. Wayfield Foods, the meat people. Eat better, spend less.
Injured in an accident? Call 1-800-LAW-NEED for your free case review with a Mottlick attorney. At other firms, you may never speak to a real attorney. That's never the case with us. Call Mottlick now for your free consultation.
Today's University of Georgia Report is being brought to you by Beaver Toyota, your fastest and smartest way to shop for your next vehicle.
Welcome back. Today's Dog Report is brought to you by Beaver Toyota. That game last week about gave me a heart attack. I don't know if other dog fans were as jittery as I was, but holy heck. Chris, what are your biggest concerns about UGA right now?
My biggest concern as of this moment right now, Nikki, is if you are going to admit that you said a couple weeks ago, is this the greatest team of all time after week 3? That's my biggest concern. We can settle that off there. You know I love you. So listen, I will say my biggest concern is honestly, like, can they get this offensive stuff being so disjointed and disconnected? But I don't really have that big of concerns. I mean, if you like, they still did what it took to win. Was it an impressive win? No, it was not an impressive win. But this kind of happens, and it's a long regular season. It's your first time going on the road. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. It was like, well, you know, once you leave those friendly confines of Athens or Atlanta, it's not always as easy to win on the road. So I think that they'll be fine. I think they just got to get started a little bit earlier in these games where they kind of, you know, we talked about last week, playing with their food a little bit too much.
Hey, you hit it right on the head, Chris. Or the Stetson tattoo right on the neck. Because I was over here, Stetson. But what you said is true. If Georgia's going to be number one, do we want to see them blow everybody out, or do we want to see them resilient, come back from challenges, face a foe that's trying to knock off number one, and they got to, you know, strive from the end in the fourth quarter or something to win a game? That's what we like about Georgia. So for the mere fact that they don't get rattled, even if they're behind, and they don't get rattled and they come back and can win a game, even if they were supposed to blow a team out, it's resiliency in a time of crunch that you got to win with. And that's what Georgia does. They win in a time of crunch. So you can't be mad or hate on anything. It's just good football.
Looking at Auburn, Georgia, do we think that this Auburn offense is the cure for the Georgia defense? Maybe this is just what they need.
It's exactly what they need. They need to be hitting on all cylinders because they just haven't played poorly in one game. And you say poorly, they didn't blow the doors off of opponents, not just in 1 week last week, but it's been 2 weeks where things haven't looked right. So this is the perfect recipe for everybody, including the defense, to eat. And you got to know Kirby Smart takes pride. He's got to know that guys aren't going to be scoring 6, 8, 12 points a game against his defense this year, but he can get some interceptions. He can set the table for his offense. He can get to the quarterback, and he can make Auburn quit, which is exactly what they did against LSU when they folded like a cheap deck of cards last week when they got that loss.
Cheap deck of cards. What do you think, Chris? Do you think this is going to be the last game we see Auburn's head coach being head coach?
No, sadly for Auburn fans, Brian Harsin will still be employed come Monday morning because you're going into Athens expecting to lose. But I tell you what, one thing we have learned, Auburn Jesus does not leave the friendly confines of Auburn, Alabama. So there's not going to be any miracles here. No walking on water, no fourth quarter Hail Marys or kick sixes or anything like that. Georgia is going to pummel Auburn, and they will emphatically. This will be over by the first half, maybe earlier.
Sounds pretty predictable, but you know who isn't predictable? Our Atlanta Falcons. We're going to break down next who they are this season. Stick with us. We will be right back on Football's Play to Win.
Today's show is being brought to you by your Atlanta Nissan dealers. This is it, Southern Kitchen and Barbecue, Atlanta Peach Movers, and Wayfield Foods.
Time. We all need more time. And now with Beaver Direct, we're giving you just that. Linda Beaver here to show you how Beaver Direct has quickly become Atlanta's favorite way to buy their next vehicle. Shop from the comfort of your home. Choose a vehicle and one of our on-site specialists will live video chat you and give a complete walk around of the vehicle. Then get a price and payment in minutes. Sign all your paperwork digitally and have your vehicle delivered to you within an hour. Visit us at beavertoyotacoming.com and see how Beaver Direct gives you back your time.
It's bow time. Get fired up tonight because Bojangles has your dinner covered. Southbound, scratch made. Not one of these, but one of these. That's more home cooking for your money. Order your family meal on the app tonight. It's bow time.
It's bill paying day at the Hendersons.
Even higher than last month.
A day of dread and unwanted surprises.
We use that much water? Really?
With one notable exception.
Now that's what I'm talking about. Up high, Mr. Meter.
With the simple one price plan from Gas South, you pay the same amount every month with no deposits and no surprises.
Hey, you Gas South guys have a cell phone plan?
Gas South. The difference is good.
This is it. Southern Kitchen and Barbecue has real value for real people. Want lunch? Try our new delicious lunch value menu with 12 items under $12. Want dinner? Try our all new everyday value menu with the new freshly prepared delicious lemon pepper fried whitey nuggets. They are featured in both menus. Order online at thisisitbbq.com. Real value for real people. Union City Store now open.
Today's Atlanta Falcons report is being brought to you by your Georgia Drive Chevy dealers. Chevrolet, find new roads.
Let's have us a Falcons report. Who are they? It's brought to you by Georgia Drive Chevy. Terrence Mathis in the house to break down the Dirty Birds for us. Falcons, Bucks. Man, as bad as I want to talk about that Brady Giselle debacle right now, we got to talk about our Atlanta Falcons and who they are. Terrence, what do you think?
It took 17 games to find their identity. You know, they want to pound you, wear you out into the fourth quarter, keep the game close, and win it in the fourth quarter. That's what this team does. And what I've seen from Arthur Smith in the last two games is maturity, because he had to make some in-game adjustments against the Browns, and he did it because they was kind of stopping the run a little bit. But what he did, he changed a pace with running backs. He put in 3-4 different running backs and changed the pace on them, and that worked to his advantage. So right now, this team is working on all cylinders in the run game, but at some point, they're going to have to figure out a way to complete at least 60 to 70% of their passes to win ball games.
Hey, T, I'm going to tell you like this, and Nikki, you too. The identity problem is definitely on Tom and Tampa's side, because the defense of Tampa Bay is still stout. That's going to be a tough matchup for the Atlanta offense, even running the ball. They got some dudes in Vita Vea and some dudes up front that they're pretty stout. And the linebackers in the secondary, they're stout. You can see in that even in the games they lose, it's a close defensive matchup. But the problems at home may have been affecting Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? It might be, you know what I'm saying, a little disrupting. So he hasn't been the same Tom. He was missing some earlier action. He misses Gronkowski. So this is not the same time as last year. This is that new Tom that might be going through some other off-the-field issues that has to get this offense of Tampa Bay rolling. And I think the Falcons defense has done enough in the bend and don't break category to make this game a tougher game than anybody's going to see. And I think Falcons can prevail.
He may not just be missing Gronk. He may be missing Giselle here in a minute. That's a whole nother story. Brandon, do you think this Falcons team is ready to take on Tampa Bay on the road?
I think so. I think the one thing we should all believe in the Falcons is that you can't count them out. 4 games, they've been in all 4 games right there at the end of the fourth quarter, and they just outrushed the number 1 rushing team in the league in the Cleveland Browns last week. So you have a situation where they're going to have to definitely change things up. That defensive line is no joke, so you're just not going to be able to expect to rush for 200 yards. But they've been running a lot of play action passes. They still have Kyle Pitts and need to work that stuff out. And the fact that Drake London is still a big body wide receiver that can go and catch and fight for some balls. This team has been there, and if Marcus Mariota stops turning the ball over, who knows where this team can go. The Falcons won a game last week where he completed 7 passes in a ball game. Going to be tough against Tampa, and they need to figure out who's going to be running the ball without Cordero Patterson for the next 4 weeks.
All right, guys, when we come back, if you can believe it, it's the biggest story in the NFL, and we're going to break it down for you next on Football's Play to Win.
Chevy Silverado. It's got the power you want and the capability you need to do the job, so you can get to the important work. Find new moments, find new roads. Get $1,500 total cash allowance on all 2022 Silverado pickups with a 2.7-liter turbo engine. Plus, now during truck season, get $1,000 accessory allowance toward a new Chevy truck with accessories. Georgia drives Chevy. Find new roads.
We work late, so you can sleep easier. Our dedication is what makes us reliable. Heating, cooling, hot water, plumbing, and electrical. Our results make us always reliable.
Get any size furnace for just $59.99 a month.
When you come to Wayfield Foods, everything is laid out very nice. You'll find farm fresh produce, the best prices in town on fresh chicken, pork chops, meaty ribs, steak, and more. Stock up and save at Wakefield Foods, the meat people.
When choosing a law firm, what is it that really matters most?
At Malik & Associates, we have the legal talent, resources, and reputation for winning big cases. We have big goals, big results, and have received some pretty big honors.
But we're not so big that you'll ever feel small or unimportant. At Montlick & Associates, giving our clients excellent service is what matters most.
If you've been hurt, we're here to help.
Today's NFL Report is being brought to you by Reliable Heating and Air, doing great since '78.
Welcome back. It's time now for our NFL Report, brought to you by Reliable Heating and Air. Guys, biggest story around the NFL right now is what's going on with Tua and the NFL's concussion protocol. I know that you all have some really serious personal ties to this issue, so I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. Terrence, what are your thoughts?
First of all, that Tua situation in Cincinnati was one of the scariest things I've seen in a football game. I've seen boxers do it before, but to see a football player do it, it was really scary to me. You got to understand, this is a very violent and brutal sport. And the concussion protocol was in place a week prior. It's just that the guy that was administering the test to him failed it. He didn't know what he was doing, and he let Tua get back into that game. And then the thing is that it's just unfortunate that he took that hit against Cincinnati. Now, I've had plenty of concussions before. I know what they feel like. And the thing is, it's a very, 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 very serious situation. And at the end of the day, you can't play football all your life. It's only a short period of time. So when you leave this game, you want to be in great health and have it in good mind so you can live a productive life after football. So the concussion protocol is put in place just for that.
I'm going to tell you like this, T, and you know it well, is dudes are willing to die on that field. And I think in this concussion protocol, you also have that side that says the player is compelled to play. Like you use the boxer analogy, the punch-drunk boxer. He's still throwing punches. He might land a heavyweight shot. So as much as the league puts these protocols in place, you still are talking to a player on the sideline, and he might be itching to get back in the game. Because I just know how the mindset of a player is. They don't want to go down if they can still fight on. So it's that catch-22, because players got to be honest with themselves and saying how, physically weak they might be from a lingering concussion. And the league has to be honest with themselves and how much they really are forcing these players back on the field because of the likes and the media hits and the TV.
All right, guys, stick with us when we come back. We've got Jeffrey's picks for the week. You don't want to miss it. It's all coming up next on Football's Play to Win.
We had a home warranty. And over the years, probably close to 80% of our problems came from heating and air situations. We had a major breakdown. So when we called the home warranty company, we had to come out of pocket $1,700. We came across Reliable. One of the technicians explained to us there was a program to help change over the units. They would maintain the units for the life of the unit. It was a no-brainer for us.
Get any size furnace for just $59.99 a month.
Wouldn't it be awesome if you could buy your next vehicle without going to the dealership? Now you can with Beaver Direct. It's fast and really simple. Log into BeaverToyotaComing.com, click on Beaver Direct, quietly shop from hundreds of vehicles, obtain a credit approval and trade appraisal in minutes.
It's bow time. Get fired up tonight because Bojangles has your dinner covered. Southbound, scratch made. Not one of these, but one of these. That's more home cooking for your money. Order your family meal in the app tonight. It's bow time.
Today's college and NFL predictions report is being brought to you by the Georgia Department of Public Health. Vaccination is the best tool to protect lives and stop the spread of COVID-19 in Georgia.
And we are back, and it is time for our college and NFL predictions by the man with the plan, Jeffrey the Edge Schechter.
Good morning, everybody. The big game of the day is TCU at Kansas. Kansas 7.5-point underdog. They're 5-0, and I like Kansas, even though TCU is a heck of a game. But I like Kansas. And I don't mean Kansas State. I don't mean Kansas City. I don't mean Kansas Penitentiary. Kansas Jayhawks plus 7.5. I don't believe that Mississippi State is any good. I like Arkansas. They gave a gift 2 weeks ago to Texas A&M, and they got back in the game against Bama. Take the 8 with Arkansas. Look who's here, Tech, and they're only a 3-point underdog. I don't know how they came up with that. Give the 3 with the Blue Devils. That should be a very easy game. In the pros, Washington is really not a good team. They hustle, they try. Tennessee is a 3-point underdog, and I like Tennessee. Houston, Jacksonville, the Jaguars, but Houston's the worst team in football. I'm not picking the Jaguars. I'm going against Houston. Give the 7.5. And Baltimore is a disappointment. They just don't get it right. Cincinnati stays in the games. They make the right plays. Take 3 with the Bengals. And good luck, everybody.
Thank you all so much for joining us again for another amazing week of football. And of course, football's Play to Win. We hope that you will all continue the conversation online with us all week until we see you again next week. Same time, same place, Saturday, 9 a.m. on Fox 5 for football's Play to Win.
Today's show has been brought to you by Reliable Heating and Air, doing great since '78, Bojangles, and your Georgia Drive Chevy dealers, Chevrolet, find new roads.